Imagine beef so deep that even the streets started treating it like unfinished business. That's the terrifying picture people are painting after Trap Lore Ross dropped another explosive breakdown involving King Von and FBG Duck. And now the internet is spiraling all over again, because according to the documentary, this wasn't just rap beef, this was years of revenge, obsession, disrespect, losses, rumors, and street politics building pressure like a ticking time bomb. Nobody could stop, and the craziest part? People online are acting like they just unlocked hidden DLC content from Chicago history. Every old tweet suddenly matters again. Every song lyric sounds darker. Fans are replaying interviews like they're FBI wiretaps, while YouTube comment sections transform into full-time crime symposiums run by people named Lil Tay Fan 47. One guy really typed, "I knew something was off in 2017, like he's Gotham's top detective working unpaid overtime, but underneath all the memes and internet theatrics is something genuinely disturbing." Trap Lore Ross claims the tension between Von and Duck didn't happen overnight. According to the breakdown, the hatred allegedly stretched across years of losses, humiliation, retaliation, and emotional scars that never healed. And once people started connecting timelines, old footage, and diss records together, the story became way darker than most fans realized. Now, social media can't stop asking the same question. Was Oak Street the tragic ending to a war that had already been brewing for years? Or are people romanticizing violence like it's a TV series? Either way, this rabbit hole gets uncomfortable fast. The internet has officially entered Conspiracy Theory Olympics again, and this time, the spotlight is burning directly over King Von and FBG Duck after Trap Lore Ross dropped a breakdown that sent social media into complete chaos. What started as another rap documentary quickly turned into one of those stories people stay awake researching at 3 in the morning while pretending they were just about to go to sleep. Suddenly, timelines were being connected, lyrics were getting decoded like ancient prophecy, and everybody online transformed into neighborhood historians with Wi-Fi access and emotional damage. And honestly, the deeper people looked, the darker the story became. According to the documentary, the tension between Von and Duck allegedly stretched back years before Oak Street ever became national news. This wasn't presented like random rap competition or internet trash talk. Trap Lore Ross painted it more like a long-running war built on loss, retaliation, disrespect, and grief stacking on top of grief until nobody even remembered where the original pain started anymore. Every event allegedly fueled another event. Every death allegedly created another cycle. And social media immediately locked onto the story because the internet absolutely loves narratives that feel bigger than music. Now fans are replaying old interviews with completely different eyes. That once sounded normal suddenly feel loaded with hidden meaning. Old Instagram live clips are being treated like archived surveillance footage. Lyrics people screamed in clubs years ago now sound chilling after hearing the backstory attached to them. One dude on TikTok literally paused a song every 15 seconds saying, "See, this line right here means something deeper." At this point, people are one step away from pinning red string across bedroom walls while dramatic piano music plays in the background. But beneath all the memes and viral reactions sits an uncomfortable reality people can't stop thinking about. What if some of these artists were really carrying years of unresolved trauma while the internet turned it into entertainment? That's the piece that changes the mood completely. Because once you strip away the YouTube thumbnails, reaction channels, and exaggerated commentary voices yelling, "This changes everything," you're left staring at something genuinely tragic. Young men growing up around violence, loss becoming normalized, and retaliation turning into culture. Trap Lore Ross focused heavily on the idea that certain conflicts allegedly became personal far beyond music. According to the breakdown, names carried emotional weight, locations carried history, even songs became symbolic battlegrounds where disrespect echoed long after tracks stopped trending. And the internet can't look away from stories like that, partly because it's shocking, partly because it feels cinematic, but also because people are weirdly fascinated by the collision between fame and destruction. Audiences watch these documentaries almost like crime thrillers, while forgetting the people involved were actual human beings, not fictional characters written for streaming platforms. Somebody online even joked that YouTube documentaries now have better plot twists than television shows. Dark joke. But honestly, social media treats these stories exactly like binge-worthy drama series. Meanwhile, every new viewer adds another layer of speculation. Some fans believe the documentary finally explained years of tension surrounding Von and Duck. Others think internet creators sometimes oversimplify extremely complicated street conflicts into clean narratives designed for views. And that debate exploded instantly online, because once millions of people become emotionally invested in a story, facts and entertainment start blending together in dangerous ways. Still, one thing became impossible to ignore after the documentary dropped. This wasn't just seen as rap beef anymore. To a lot of viewers, it started looking like a tragedy that had been building in slow motion for years. Once the documentary started spreading across social media, people began revisiting the entire history between King Von and FBG Duck, like they were reopening an unsolved case buried deep inside internet culture. Suddenly, every old clip carried a different energy. Fans weren't just watching interviews anymore. They were studying them, listening for hidden resentment, looking for coded disrespect, searching for moments where emotion slipped through. The cracks before the cameras moved on. And the strange thing is, once people believe there's a hidden story, they start finding evidence everywhere. One old live stream gets reposted, somebody notices a facial expression, another person connects it to a lyric from 3 years earlier, then somebody else makes a 20-minute breakdown explaining how a single Instagram caption allegedly hinted at deeper tension all along. By the end of the night, half the internet is staring at blurry screenshots like ancient archaeologists decoding forbidden rap scrolls. The algorithm absolutely loves this stuff too. The darker the story gets, the harder social media pushes it. Every platform became flooded with edits showing dramatic music behind footage of Von and Duck. TikTok creators started narrating timelines like movie trailers. YouTube channels added thunder sound effects every time somebody mentioned Oak Street. At one point, a creator whispered, "This changes everything." So seriously, you'd think he discovered hidden treasure under Chicago instead of discussing rap history. But beneath the theatrics, there's still something deeply unsettling about the way these stories unfold. Because according to Trap Lore Ross, the conflict allegedly wasn't fueled by one single event. It was years of pain stacking on top of pain, loss after loss, diss tracks becoming personal, personal issues turning public, public disrespect turning permanent. And eventually the lines between music, reputation, grief, and survival allegedly blurred together until nobody could separate entertainment from reality anymore. That's the detail people keep obsessing over. Not just the violence itself, but the idea that so much of it allegedly unfolded in front of the internet while millions watched from a safe distance, treating it like episodic content. Fans debated sides like sports teams. Comment sections celebrated disrespect like scoreboards. Entire reaction channels built careers reacting to trauma wrapped inside rap culture. And the scariest part is how normal it all started feeling online. After a while, one dude on social media actually joked, "Chicago documentaries got more lore than Marvel movies." Everybody laughed, then got quiet immediately afterward because honestly, that joke felt way too close to reality. The documentary also sparked massive arguments online because not everybody agreed with how these stories get presented. Some viewers praised Trap Lore Ross for organizing timelines and helping outsiders understand complicated street conflicts tied to music culture. Others argued that internet documentaries risked turning real deaths into binge-watch entertainment for audiences, disconnected from the actual pain behind the headlines. And that criticism kept growing louder. Because there's always an uncomfortable line with content like this. People say they're learning history, but sometimes it also feels like tragedy gets packaged into viral storytelling complete with suspense music and cliffhangers. Audiences become emotionally attached to narratives while forgetting families still carry real grief outside the screen. That tension hangs over every conversation involving Von and Duck now. Still, viewers couldn't stop watching because the story carried this haunting feeling that everything was spiraling towards something terrible long before the public realized it. Looking back, fans now treat old moments differently. Lyrics sound heavier, interviews feel colder, even jokes between artists suddenly carry tension. People swear they missed before. And once hindsight enters the conversation, the internet becomes convinced the warning signs were always there. That's why this documentary hit people so hard. It didn't just revisit rap beef, it made audiences wonder how many tragedies the world watches in real time without understanding what's actually building underneath the surface. The more people revisited the history between King Von and FBG Duck, the more the internet started treating the entire situation like a slow-motion disaster everybody somehow watched happen in real time without fully understanding it. That's the eerie feeling hanging over the documentary now. Not just shock, regret. Like, audiences suddenly realize some of the entertainment they consumed over the years may have carried way more pain underneath than they originally understood. And social media absolutely cannot handle realizations like that normally. Instead of slowing down, the internet doubled the chaos. Every old diss track became evidence again. Fans started posting side-by-side lyric comparisons, like professors teaching advanced courses in rap warfare. Somebody online seriously made a chart connecting songs, interviews, tweets, locations, and timelines together like they were mapping. Organized crime operations instead of discussing music culture. One dude even used a laser pointer during his YouTube breakdown. A laser pointer. At that point, the only thing missing was dramatic documentary narration saying, but what they discovered next would change everything forever. The wild thing is that hindsight makes everything feel darker. Lines people once screamed at parties suddenly sound chilling when connected to real-world consequences. Old interviews now feel tense, even when the artists are laughing. Fans replay clips searching for hidden signs nobody noticed back then. And once millions of people start collectively looking backward through a tragic lens, every moment begins feeling loaded with meaning, whether it originally was or not. That's why Trap Lore Ross's documentary exploded online so fast. It tapped directly into the internet's obsession with trying to understand how conflict escalates before tragedy happens. People always want a timeline afterward, a beginning point, a moment where somebody could have turned left instead of right. But real life rarely works that cleanly, especially when emotions, environment, reputation, and grief are all tangled together over years. According to the documentary, the alleged tension involving Vaughn and Duck became bigger than music long before. Most outsiders realized it. Songs weren't just songs anymore. To many fans, they sounded like direct emotional warfare layered with years of personal history. Every release allegedly carried weight beyond entertainment. Every response allegedly fueled another reaction. And social media amplified everything at lightning speed because outrage travels faster online than reflection ever will. One creator joked that rap fans now study lyrics harder than students study for final exams. Honestly, he might be right. People online were quoting bars from years ago with terrifying accuracy. Entire comment sections debated meanings behind single sentences like courtroom attorneys arguing evidence before a jury. And meanwhile, algorithms kept rewarding the most dramatic interpretations because emotional content spreads faster than balanced conversations ever could. But underneath the theories and reaction videos sits something genuinely uncomfortable. A lot of these stories involve young men navigating violence while millions of strangers spectate from phones, laptops, and couches. The audience experiences suspense. The people involved experience consequences. That disconnect creates a strange culture online where tragedy sometimes gets consumed like serialized entertainment instead of processed with seriousness. And some viewers are finally starting to question that, not because the documentaries exist, but because of how audiences react to them. People binge watch stories involving death, retaliation, and pain while eating dinner like it's another Netflix recommendation. Then they jump into comment sections debating who won situations where nobody actually wins at all. That realization hit a lot of people hard while watching the breakdown. Still, the fascination refuses to disappear because human beings are naturally drawn towards stories that feel emotionally unresolved. And this situation feels filled with unresolved emotion from every direction imaginable. That's why discussions around Vaughn and Duck continue pulling people back in even years later. Not because audiences fully understand what happened, but because deep down they feel like they're staring at a tragedy that was warning everybody long before the ending finally arrived. By the time the documentary finished circulating across YouTube, TikTok, and every corner of social media that survives, entirely on chaos and Wi-Fi, the story surrounding King Von and FBG Duck no longer felt like ordinary rap history to most viewers. It felt heavier than that, darker, like watching dominoes fall in slow motion while realizing halfway through that nobody nearby knew how to stop them. And honestly, that's probably why the internet became so obsessed with it. People aren't just reacting to violence. They're reacting to the idea that so many warning signs may have existed publicly for years while audiences treated everything like entertainment. Old songs. Old tweets. Old interviews. Looking back now, fans keep convincing themselves the tension was obvious the whole time, but hindsight is dangerous like that. Once people know tragedy happened, every memory suddenly starts glowing with foreshadowing energy, whether it deserves to or not. Still, some moments genuinely hit different after hearing the timeline laid out. A lyric once dismissed as disrespect suddenly sounds personal. A stare during an interview suddenly feels colder. Even the jokes artists made years ago now carry this strange, uncomfortable tension behind them. That's what Trap Lore Ross tapped into so effectively with the documentary. He didn't just present events, he presented emotional buildup. And the internet absolutely devours stories where people feel like they're uncovering hidden layers beneath public moments. One reaction creator said the documentary felt less like rap commentary and more like watching a tragedy unfold backward. That description stuck with people because instead of audiences asking what happened, they started asking how did this keep escalating for so long? And once that question enters the conversation, everybody becomes obsessed with tracing the emotional chain reaction backward through time. Fans revisit everything, searching for turning points. One bad decision, one disrespectful moment, one situation that allegedly pushed tensions even further toward disaster. The scary part is how normalized all of it became online. People got so used to diss tracks, threats, and public disrespect that many stopped viewing it as real human conflict. It became content, shareable clips, viral moments, meme templates. Social media has this weird ability to turn even the darkest situations into entertainment cycles, where outrage, fascination, and humor all blend together at the same time. One minute somebody's discussing serious violence, the next minute another person posts a joke underneath it, collecting 50,000 likes before breakfast. And somehow the internet keeps moving like that constantly, fast, loud, emotionally, disconnected. That's why documentaries like this hit differently afterward. They force audiences to sit still long enough to realize these weren't fictional characters written for dramatic storytelling. These were real people carrying real trauma inside environments where disrespect allegedly carried dangerous consequences. Once viewers stop seeing it like a rap rivalry and start seeing it like unresolved pain stretching across years, the entire mood changes. But even with all the analysis, theories, and viral breakdowns, there's still something nobody online can fully answer. How much of this conflict was amplified because millions of people were watching? That question hangs over everything now because social media doesn't just document tension anymore. Sometimes it feeds it. Every diss gets reposted instantly. Every rumor spreads globally in minutes. Every emotional reaction becomes permanent internet history before somebody even has time to calm down. And when reputation becomes tied to public perception, people often feel pressured to respond louder, harder, and more aggressively than they otherwise might have. That's the uncomfortable truth buried underneath all the documentaries and reaction videos. The internet loves stories about destruction, but once the smoke clears, audiences are often left staring at the aftermath, wondering why nobody realized how serious things had become until it was already too late. So what do you think after hearing all of this? Did Trap Lore Ross actually uncover a deeper truth behind the years of tension between King Von and FBG Duck? Or is the internet once again turning tragedy into a giant conspiracy board built out of old lyrics, rumors, and hindsight? Because right now, social media is completely split down the middle. Some people believe the warning signs were always there, hiding in plain sight, while others think audiences are reading way too deeply into moments that only seem suspicious. After everything that happened, and honestly, that debate keeps getting darker the more people talk about it. One thing everybody agrees on though, this story no longer feels like simple rap beef. The emotions, losses, retaliation, and history connected to it make the entire situation feel way heavier than internet drama. That's probably why these documentaries hit millions of views so quickly. People aren't just watching for gossip anymore. They're trying to understand how conflicts grow, how public disrespect escalates, and how social media sometimes turns real pain into entertainment before anybody realizes how serious things have become. Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is getting intense fast. Do you think the internet helped expose the truth or helped fuel the chaos even more? And if more details continue surfacing, trust me, this entire discussion is only going to get louder from here.